You know, there are people who would compromise. They would compromise their principles, their beliefs, so they can win approval. Sometimes, especially at work, right? We call that politics at work. Oh, if you don't go out and go out with your peers in a bar and have some drinks, you're not in. You're not in. So, some people, they're not really into it, but they go anyway to gain acceptance. Is that clear? Hypocrisy. This is not knowing about God is one thing, knowing God is another. Hello? Knowing? So knowing about God is not the same. You understand this sentence? Knowing about God is not the same as knowing God. They're not the same. The best example would be when you go to school, they teach you about the presidents, right? So they teach you, let's say, okay, you study about George Washington. You study about Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, those people. You know about them, right? You know about George Washington. We know about Thomas Jefferson. But do you know them? Do we know them? Do we know George Washington? No. But we know about them. Is that clear? You see the difference? When you truly know somebody, what does it entail? You probably know the likes and the dislikes of this person, the personality, the traits of this person. You know where they work, you know where they live, you know what is it that they're interested in. Those things. Then you truly know the person. But if you just know the name, you just know, maybe you know another thing about the person. You don't really know the person, you know about the person. Okay? Big difference. So, what is the richer concept here? So, to truly know what is Jesus saying so we can truly know God? Essentially, what Jesus is saying is you have to experience His love. We have to experience. We have to truly experience His love for us, if I may add it. Because if we have not experienced His love, it might be difficult to really know Him. So the question is, how do we experience His love? Being open to Him and keep thanking Him for everything. Thank Jesus for everything. You know, it breaks my heart listening to some people. They get all kinds of honor, Oscar, Academy, all kinds of reward, most valuable player. They thank everybody except the most important. You notice that? They thank everybody except God. But God is the most important. God is the most important mover of all the success. Because without God, we have nothing. What's the bottom line? We can't do anything without God. God allows everything to happen out of love. So this is the key here. We have to experience His love for us and get to thank Him for everything. Romans 8:28 guarantees us that in the end, what happens is what is the best for us. So in 2nd book of Corinthians, chapter 5, verse 8, we must have to thank God for everything. Good, what seems to be good, what seems to be bad. Everything. Never accept success in your own name. Never. If there is inspiration taking place, we happen to appreciate, we happen to see, no more punishment, okay. So what happens is, acknowledge success in the name of God. All in the name of God. Acknowledge His love. Alright? Is this clear? Very important. In my years of being Catholic, I've been Catholic since I was born. Believe it or not, I have never heard any discussion about hypocrisy. Personally, I haven't. Maybe you have, but personally, I haven't. So I said, this is something I need to share, because Jesus calls people hypocrites. So what did Jesus mean? Question, is Meryl Streep a hypocrite? She gets an award for being the best hypocrite. Well, according to, how do you call that? The Oscar. In the secular world, that's a very good thing. The best actress, the best actor, the best whatever. If you study the sacred scriptures, that's not a very good meaning. Hypocritai in Greek means stage actor. What does an actor do? They make money for portraying roles that they are not. You know this, remember when we watched Catholicism by Father Robert Barron? He says, if Jesus is not what He says He is, then He's a very bad man. Because he was a hypocrite. If He's not what He says He is. But time and time again, He proved to us that He is what He said He is. He truly is what he said he is. That's why he calls the Pharisees, he had every right to call the Pharisees hypocrites, because they perform righteous deeds in order to be seen. In order to be seen. Okay? Now we don't have the write-up, you have the write-up, the print. If you look at the Bible study notes ending March 4th, the other one is from the previous week. So those who are not here, I made a point to give it to you too from last week. Alright, last Sunday. This is the time of fulfillment. The kingdom of God is at hand. The first one here is the role of temptation. Jesus' public life begins by a duel with Satan. You have to write this down across this one. You have to make notes on that paper. This you have to write. Ready? Across number 1, the role of temptation. Jesus' mission is to destroy the works of the devil. Okay? To destroy the works of the devil and establish the kingdom of grace. That's what number 1 is about. Let me ask you, is temptation good? Yes or no? Jesus had no sin. But after the river Jordan, the baptism, he had to go to the desert, spend 40 days. 40 days is more than 1 month. That's a long time. No food, no drink. No supermarket in the desert. So I believe he really had no food, no drinks. For 40 days. That's why he was thirsty, he was hungry. Right? The question is, why did he have to be tempted when he had no sin to begin with? Was that necessary? Well, I gave you the answer: to destroy the works of the devil and to establish the kingdom of grace. So the question now is, why is temptation, is that temptation good or bad? For you and for me. Why does God allow temptation to us? Almost every single day we are tempted by something. Yeah. To test us. Just like when you go to class, there's tests, right? This is the only class I conduct and there are no tests. It's about time I give some. So, but why would God test us? Doesn't God believe that... what is the purpose of the test? In other words, why would God allow temptation in our lives? To test the faith?
To draw us closer to Him, so we are focused on Him and get strength.
Actually, both answers are correct. Do you know that temptations play an important role in our salvation history? We saw that Jesus himself was tempted in the desert. So we cannot complain about temptation. We cannot say, Jesus, you have no idea how much temptation I confront every single day. You can't say that, because he himself was tempted. What could be more tempting when you're super duper hungry, and then if you want, you can turn that into bread. Ooh, very nice. Imagine, you're so hungry and you see cupcakes. So Jesus faced all this temptation. You see all those? You can have all of those. temptation. What are some of the temptations you're confronted with? What are some of the temptations? Temptations to make more money. Temptation to talk about somebody. Temptation from attraction with somebody else. Temptation to stay on bed. Temptation to schedule something Monday nights. There are many temptations. Classic examples. Oh, it's so cold. Temptation not to come. Too windy. Temptation not to come. Jet lag. I like to sleep. There's a lot of temptations, you agree? Every single day. It's not just special days, every single day. Good number of them. Some of them are brought by Satan himself. That's the fact. Now, how did Jesus respond to the temptations? You see, he survived those temptations, didn't he? With flying colors, Jesus survived the temptations. What about you? What about me? Are we able to respond with success against temptation? Part of the prayer that Jesus taught us is, lead us not into temptation and deliver us from evil. Right? The end of the Lord's Prayer. That's a beautiful, beautiful prayer. Jesus knew that you and I are weak. Jesus knew that. Jesus knows that we are weak. Jesus knows that we have concupiscence. Jesus knows that we are subject to succumb to temptation, with or without notice. That's why he put that in the end of the Lord's Prayer. Hopefully we can remember that. We ask the Lord to lead us not into temptation. It's probably safer that we not be confronted by temptation anymore. Because if we are confronted and we are faced with temptation, chances are we'll probably succumb to it. Or we'll probably not be able to successfully fight it. Because of our concupiscence. Remember the word concupiscence? Because of our weakness. That's a beautiful, beautiful prayer. If you only say that prayer from your heart, it really means a lot. The Lord's Prayer. Number 2.